Now, if you're a Mets fan, obviously you have not been happy with the way that the offense has been performing over the last week or 10 days, going all the way back to the Pirates series where they did take 2 out of 3, but they really struggled to get the big hit. They struggled to get any hits, really, and they were only able to take 2 out of 3 because the Pirates are so bad. Then you go into the Yankee series where you get embarrassed and the same issues persist. You cannot get big hits. You can't get any hits. You can't come through when it really matters. And then the first 2 games of the Boston series really looked like that was going to continue. They scored 1 run in Game 1, nothing in Game 2, but then in Game 3, their offense really seemed to get a little bit of a spark. And it really came from the bottom of the order. The bottom of the order for the Mets last night, whether it Torrens, Taylor, Acuna, and most of all, Brett Baty, really came through for them. Baty, I'm still at this point, I don't know what to think about him. I flip-flop on him so much because you see that the talent is there and he's able to perform in the minor leagues. And, coming out of spring training, I thought he was primed for a big year. And then he really struggled to start the season after basically getting the starting second base job. It was him and Acuna, but it was him most days. And then he gets sent down and comes back, and then he hits a few home runs, and you're thinking, oh, maybe Baty is back, and then he goes cold again. And then he has a game like last night where he really is their offense for a lot of the game. He had 3 RBIs out of the 5 runs they scored. So, Brett Baty is obviously a talented guy, and his issue has really always been confidence. You can see that he has talent, but I think it was mindset and confidence. And you've seen Carlos Mendoza talk about that over the last week. You're finally seeing a confident Brett Baty. He feels like he belongs. And I think that's important for him. Now, what's going to happen with him going forward? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say now I think he's going to become an all-star or whatever. But right now he has to play every day. Because Vientos, I'm sorry, is just not a Major League third baseman right now. Will he ever be? I don't know, but right now he's not. He's a DH. He has a great arm. He cannot feel the ball. He makes simple plays look difficult. He bobbles everything. Baty has to play third base for you every day, or at least 90% of the time going forward. He just has to, because he's that much better defensively than Vientos. And that's, I don't think that's unfair to say. We still need Vientos. We need to get his bat going and keep him in the lineup, but he needs to DH. So I don't know what Baty's going to be. But nights like last night really gives you the impression that maybe he has figured something out. Maybe it was just a confidence thing and he's feeling more confident, feeling like he belongs. We'll have to see going forward. I'm still wait and see with Baty. I'm not going to go one way or the other anymore with him. We'll just have to see what he does. He also had a home run by Francisco Lindor. It was the first Mets home run in almost 300 at-bats. So obviously, honestly, I couldn't remember the last time the Mets hit a home run. And last night, Lindor hit one over the Green Monster on a night where it was really windy and cold, and there was some other balls hit that you thought were going to go out and didn't. Jarren Duran and Soto both looked like they had grand slams, and neither of them went out. So obviously that wasn't a great night for home runs, but Lindor was able to get one out, and that was important for the Mets offense. Just to get a little bit of confidence, make you feel what it's like to hit a home run again. That was a great feeling, I'm sure, for their offense. And then, it wasn't a perfect game, though. Pete is continuing to have a little bit of a struggle here after a really hot start. I think he'll be fine. You have to point it out. He's not been very good the last couple of weeks. And then Soto obviously went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts against Crochet. He did walk later in the game, and he hit that ball deep to center field that I thought was gone for a grand slam. Didn't go out. He still got an RBI on it. It was a sac fly. But a lot of people were talking about him being dropped in the order to number 3, and he was upset, and that's why he didn't swing the bat in the first couple at-bats. Honestly, I think the problem was he just wasn't picking up Crochet. It was the first time he'd ever faced Crochet. Crochet is a great pitcher. I shouldn't say great. He's a really good pitcher, and he's a really tough lefty, and he just wasn't picking it up. And Soto's the type of guy who wants to control the strike zone. And he's not just going to swing if he doesn't pick it up well or he doesn't see it well. He didn't know where it was going to go, and that's what it looked like to me. I'm not a professional. I'm not a pitching coach or a hitting coach, but to me it just looked like he wasn't picking up the ball out of Crochet's hand at all. He didn't know where it was going to go. So that's why he didn't swing the bat. And it's as simple as that. So Overall, really good. I would say a good offensive night for the Mets, especially coming out of the bottom of the order, doing most of the damage. And that's what they've needed to do. The big guys up top can't do all the heavy lifting. Those guys at the bottom are going to have to hit too. And they did last night. Terrence had a couple hits. Baty had a couple hits. Acuna had a hit. Taylor had a hit. They were all getting hits. So I do think that was important to see the bottom of the lineup kind of sparking it a little bit. And maybe that gets the big guys going at the top of the lineup. That's the hope, at least. You also saw McGill in this game. He couldn't get through 5 innings, but he was very successful in the first 4 innings, striking out 10. He looked really good. He looked like April Tyler McGill for the first 4 innings. And then, like McGill, started falling apart in the 5th and couldn't make it through the inning. He only gave up the 1 run. He still had a pretty decent performance, 4 2/3. He's just not a guy you can trust to go deep into games. And at this point, once the Mets are healthy in the rotation, I think he's a bullpen guy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think he could be a dominant bullpen guy. His brother's a bullpen guy. I just don't see it as a bad issue. I think if you're able to tell him, go out there and throw your best stuff for an inning or two, he could be very successful as long as he keeps his walks down, which he was last night. He only gave up 1 walk in his 4 2/3 innings with 10 strikeouts. So overall, pretty decent start from McGill. At least he didn't go out there like he did in the Yankees game and just blow it right and go 2 innings and give up 4 runs and couldn't find the strike zone. So that was important to see out of McGill. It was kind of a bounce back from that 2 really bad starts in a row. Also, out of the bullpen, you had Brazoban, who I made a video a couple days ago, and I talked about some of the reliable pieces in the Mets bullpen, and I did not talk about Brazoban. And that was definitely a mistake on my part, and maybe it's just because he's so automatic, and I just don't even worry when he comes in the game that I don't even think about him. But he went 2 1/3 innings last night, struck out 4, gave up 1 hit, no walks, and really he was the pitcher of the game. Without him giving those 2 1/3 innings, I don't know if the Mets win. He came in, stabilized it, was able to get out of a tough jam in the 5th. That was McGill's doing. And really, he's been that guy all year. And he's got a .90 ERA, and I think he's got about 30 innings pitched this year. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know where we'd be without Brazoban this year. He's one of the only few guys in the bullpen that I don't sweat when he comes in the game, which is odd to say because last year he was terrible and we all hated him. And then Mendoza was asked about him as well after the game and asked about why he's been so successful and how he's able to be so successful having his best year at 35 years old. And Mendoza said he just realizes now that his stuff plays and he can get big league hitters out and just throw strikes. And that's what he's done. And really, it's that simple for him. He's just a good pitcher. He has good stuff. Just throw strikes, and you can get people out. So really impressed with Brazoban in this game. And overall, hopefully this is a game that sparks them. The Mets obviously have not been hitting. And to get 5 runs, getting a lot of hits from the bottom of your order, Lindor hitting a home run, Soto hitting that ball that looked like it was going to be gone late in the game, ended up being a sac fly, getting a walk also, that's something that maybe sparks them. And they'll need it because now they go home to face the Dodgers, who are one of the top offensive teams in baseball. You know that they're going to score runs. They average over 5.6 runs a game, so they're going to score runs, and you're going to have to score runs to beat them. And it's just a matter of doing that. Now, the Mets are a much better team at home than they are on the road. They are 17-5 at home this year. So I expect this to be a better series. They hit better at home. They pitch better. They do everything better at home. Yes, it's the Dodgers, but you're also getting the Dodgers with some injuries to their pitching staff. But first, let's get into their offense a little bit. Obviously, like I said, they're 31-19 coming into the game, but they've struggled a little bit recently. They had lost 4 in a row. They got swept by the Angels at home, and then lost the first game of the Diamondback series before taking the next 2. So they took 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks in their last series after losing 4 in a row. So maybe they're getting back on track here. I don't know how this team ever loses, honestly. You look at their lineup, they're second in the league in most categories offensively to the Yankees. They have an .814 OPS. They have 81 home runs compared to the Mets' 53, so they're a power hitting team. They got a .343 OPS, a .471 slug, and they lead the league in batting average at .267. It's just crazy. They're just a crazy good offensive team. You look at Ohtani, obviously everyone knows Ohtani. He's hitting over 300. He's got 17 home runs. Short on the RBIs, 31 RBIs with 17 home runs. Not great. I know he started off the season really slow, and he was hitting a lot of solo home runs. Freeman having maybe his best season so far in his mid-30s at this point, but he's hitting 368 and his OPS is over 1,000. He's got 9 home runs, 34 RBIs. Really been good this year. Teoscar Hernandez, 307, 10 home runs, 38 RBIs. Another really good year for Teoscar after I expected to maybe see a little bit of a downfall with him. Even Betts in a year that he's not been himself. He's still hitting like 270 with a 789 OPS. He's got 8 home runs and 30 RBIs. Will Smith is batting 339. I mean, you could just keep going on with this Dodgers team. We saw them last year. We saw them in the playoffs last year. And their lineup is just resilient, and they're just, you can't get them out. They wear you down. They take their walks. They get big hits. You can't say enough good things about the Dodgers offense. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean they're going to score 10 runs every game. That you can still beat them. I'm not saying you can't, but you're going to have to hit if you're playing the Dodgers. You're going to have to. They're going to score 5-6 runs. That's just what they score every night. Maybe the pitching, I don't care who we have pitching, which we do have the pitching matchups in this series, whether, it's Peterson, Senga, and Canning are all pitching for the Mets in this series, and those have been really probably the 3 best pitchers all year. So I think the matchups favor us, but I don't trust any pitcher, whether it's a Mets pitcher or it could be, I don't care, Paul Skeens. I don't care who it is. I don't trust any pitcher against this Dodgers lineup because they're that good. Even guys who are having bad year or down years like Tommy Edman or Kike Hernandez still hit home runs. They're still, Pajes has like 9 home runs this year, and he was a bench guy for them. Like, they don't stop. They just keep producing and keep hitting. And it's going to be a tough series. The Mets have to hit. Now, this Dodgers series also comes at the end of a really tough stretch for the Mets. I made a video a couple weeks ago about a really tough stretch coming up for the Mets, going all the way back to the Diamondbacks series. They played the Diamondbacks, Cubs, then they had a little bit of a break with the Pirates, and then you have the Yankees, Red Sox, and now the Dodgers. Well, so far in this tough stretch, this tough 18-game stretch, they're 8-7, which, listen, if you would have told me back a couple of weeks ago, you can sign for 8-7 right now, no, I wouldn't have signed for it, but I would have been okay with it. I would like to see them maybe having won a couple more games, maybe taking 2 out of 3 from either the Red Sox or the Yankees. But overall, you can't hate that going into having a real tough part of your schedule before some easy parts of your schedule coming up. So I'll take it. Not exactly what I would have hoped for, but it's acceptable. 8-7. I'm not going to complain about that against some really, really tough teams. Now, if you look at the Dodgers pitching-wise right now, it's a little bit of a mess. Not because they don't have great starting pitchers, but because all of their best pitchers are on the injured list right now. Whether it's starting pitchers in Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Roki Sasaki, all on the injured list. Relievers, Blake Trinan, Kirby Yates, Michael Kopech, all out with injuries. So you're getting them at kind of the right time in their pitching. Now, they're obviously, like we said, they're still going to score runs. But now they give you an opportunity where you can also score runs. You're also missing Yamamoto in this series, who has clearly been their best pitcher, maybe the best pitcher in baseball so far this year. Yamamoto, 1.86 ERA, .91 whip, 172 average against. He's been great, but the Mets won't see him in this series. So that's a huge advantage for them. Right, you look at their injured list with Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, they would be the number 1 and 2 starting pitchers on the Mets right now. And they're out with injuries. Roki Sasaki, I don't know that he'd be a number 1 or 2 pitcher for the Mets, but he hasn't proven anything in the major leagues yet, and he hasn't been great so far. But he has a lot of talent, and he's a really good starting pitcher. And he has the ability to be a very good starting pitcher. Blake Trinan, Kirby Yates, Michael Kopech would all be our 8th inning guy. Like, that's just the truth. They'd all be our better versions of Reed Garrett or Brazaban. Like, yes, Brazaban and Reed Garrett have been better this year. I'm not debating that, but those 3 guys are probably all better than anyone in our bullpen besides Diaz. So overall, we're getting kind of lucky here. They're missing a lot in their bullpen, missing a lot in their starting rotation, and we're going to have the favorable pitching matchups, like I said. In game one, you're going up against Clayton Kershaw. He's only got one start this year. He started the year on the injured list. One start, 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 5 earned runs against the Angels. I think he also gave up a home run in that game. Listen, Clayton Kershaw's on the downside of his career. We all know that. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball for the last 20 years, but he's at the end of his career, and you can get to him. Now, does that mean that he won't turn around and spin a gem against the Mets? No, it doesn't mean anything. He could absolutely do that. He still has the ability to do that. He's still Clayton Kershaw. So I wouldn't put it past him, especially against a team like the Mets who, have been struggling offensively. And then you have Tony Gonsolin in Game 2. He's got 4 starts this year, and he's given up 4 home runs in 20 innings pitched. So every five innings, he gives up a home run. So you figure you should be able to hit a home run in that game. He's got a 4.05 ERA, and he's given up 26 base runners in those 20 innings. So not a great year for him. Another guy you should be able to hit. And then a guy you should really be able to hit is Landon Knack. He's got a 6.17 ERA. He's given up 5 home runs in 23 innings pitched, 26 hits, 10 walks. He just hasn't been very good. And he's a guy that the Mets should be able to hit. Honestly, all of these guys should give the Mets an opportunity to win these games. Now, whether they do or not, I don't know. We'll have to see how that all works out. The Dodgers are a great offensive team. They're going to grind at bats. They're going to grind you down. Listen, I don't expect Griffin Canning to go 6 innings with giving up 1 run against this team. Now, he could, and he could surprise me, but I just don't see it. And that's not a knock on Griffin Canning. I think it's a praise of the Dodgers offense. Now, Canning surprised me against the Yankees. He did way better than I thought he would. The Dodgers are the same type of team, and they're a better team. I know they're second to the Yankees in most categories, but you look up and down that lineup, they have better hitters. They're just a better overall team. So I think our pitchers will probably struggle a little bit. Not that I think they're going to get blown up, but they're going to struggle a little bit just because of who they're playing. I think any pitcher will struggle against this team. But anyway, let's hope that their offense gets going. Maybe last night sparked something. Love to see a nice little run here. I would love to see Soto get hot. If Soto gets hot, you're in for a good nice streak here. And then after this, you kind of have some easier competition. You have 6 games against the White Sox and the Rockies. So if you can take 2 out of 3 in this series, you could feel really good about yourself going into, series at home against probably the 2 worst teams in baseball. And that would be nice to have a little cushion going into those series. And it's really the first time the Mets are really able to, judge themselves against the Dodgers, a team that they lost to in the playoffs last year and who they hope to be able to beat in the playoffs this year. This is a potential playoff matchup. Hopefully we wouldn't see them into the NLCS, but this is a team that you have to beat to win a World Series and to make it to a World Series. So we'll see where we stack up against them. Overall, I'm pretty confident because we have the pitching matchups. Hopefully we can grind out at bats on their pitchers like they're going to do on us. And we'll have to see how it all goes. But it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking series, but it's one that I think that the Mets have a good shot at. But yeah, that's really all I got today. Like I said before, especially if you're new here, please subscribe. If you're not, give me a like, comment, whatever you want. And until next time, let's go Mets.